One of the nice things about delivering a sermon before Shabbat is getting to listen to some music in the background. This is one of the most beautiful songs you'll ever hear. Joni Mitchell wrote it 50 years ago when she was 21 years old. So many things I would have done, but clouds got in my way. Is there anyone in the world for whom this song doesn't resonate these days? I'm thinking of the family who had to cancel their bar mitzvah trip to Israel, the couple who are getting married without all of their loved ones surrounding them, those who are longing for closeness, for the community of presence that we've been asked to avoid. All of these clouds seem to have gotten in our way. Clouds play an important role in the Torah readings this Shabbat, the readings that conclude the book of Exodus. We read about the important role they played in the tabernacle and the important role they played as the Israelites journeyed through the wilderness. When the clouds covered the Mishkan, our ancestors' wandering sanctuary, it was a sign of God's presence. When those clouds descended, even Moses couldn't enter. And on their journey, the cloud lifting from the Mishkan was a sign to move forward, and wherever the cloud led, the people would follow. There were so many miracles our ancestors experienced in their wanderings through the desert. Food fell from the sky, wells of water that appeared out of nowhere, pillars of fire to guide the people by night, the splitting of the sea, the revelation at Sinai. Why do the clouds have such an important role in the story? Three possible answers that I'd like us to think about and consider. The first is one that we learn from the first time clouds appear in the Torah, and that's after the flood. Noah and his family step off the ark, and God makes a covenant with him and his descendants. The sign of that covenant, the one that we tend to focus on, is the rainbow. But actually, that's not the whole sign. The Torah says, "V'haya be'aneni anan al haaretz v'nir'ata keshet ba'anan." I will bring clouds over the earth, and the rainbow will appear in the clouds. When the rainbow is mentioned, so are the clouds emphasized. They are part of that covenant that God makes with Noah. A covenant, if you remember, that seals God's promise that never again shall the earth be destroyed. The clouds are not just an example of God's presence. We learn from the story that they are a sign of reassurance, of hope, of faith, of eternal protection. The second answer comes from the story of the Akedah, the binding of Isaac. Now here you have to know rabbinic commentary. The Torah says that on the third day of their journey, Abraham saw the place from afar, Vayar et hamakom merachok. And after he saw it, he asked his servants to stay put, and he continued the rest of the way with Isaac. What really went on here? Well, Rashi says that Abraham saw something from afar, not just a place. He quotes the Midrash and says he saw clouds. But those clouds were frightening. They were low. And when clouds are low, you can't see where you're going. The journey ahead is unclear and unpredictable. Abraham's servants didn't want to move forward. They were so frightened. Even Isaac was afraid. But Abraham turned to Isaac and he said to him, "My son, my whole life I've been moving forward, and I didn't always know where the journey would lead. But I have faith that what can't be seen from here can be seen from there. I have faith that God will guide my steps, and that despite the fact that not all is known, we have to move forward." And the Torah says, Vayilchu shnehem yachdav, and the two of them journeyed forward together. Clouds in this story are a symbol for moving forward when things are unclear. We can't always see where things will lead. That's life. We don't always know how the world will recover, but we don't give up. We keep moving forward the best we can. All of life is filled with uncertainty and lack of clarity, but these can never be excuses to hold us back. And a third answer, an answer I think any one of us can appreciate who may have taken a flight during the cold and dark Canadian winters. Because if you have taken such a flight, you've encountered that surreal experience of finding a bright blue shining sky above the clouds, above those same clouds that keep us in darkness down here on the ground. You look out the window of the plane, and it looks like a flat Arctic tundra as far as the eye can see. The view is calm and peaceful, even reassuring. Whenever we look at the clouds, we have to remember that above them, the sun is still shining. This is an observation that Job makes in the Bible. He says, Ve'ata lo ra'u or bahir hu bashchakim v'ruach avra v'tarem. No one can look at the sun when it's so bright after the wind has swept the clouds away. If you know Job's story, you know that he's not just talking about the weather. He's talking about the clouds of loss, of suffering, of stress, of sadness, and he's reminding himself and all of us that just behind those clouds, the sun is still shining. We just have to wait for the wind to come and sweep them away. With these three lessons in mind, perhaps now we understand why clouds are so important in the Torah. They're so important, we even have a holiday dedicated to them. The Sukkah that we dwell in on Sukkot, at least according to one Talmudic opinion, commemorates the clouds that protected our ancestors in their wandering through the wilderness. And in Parshat Re'eh, when the Torah says, follow the Lord your God, the Midrash says, this is the clouds. Follow the clouds. Obviously, the Midrash isn't speaking literally. What the Midrash is saying is follow the message those clouds are giving you. Follow what they represent. Follow the reassurance that they represent, that God's covenant with humanity endures today and always. Follow them even when they obscure our vision, even when they confuse us and prevent us from seeing what's on the other side. And remember that behind those clouds, the sun is still shining. Faith helps us to move forward in challenging times, true to ourselves and true to our values. So while it's true that what Joni Mitchell wrote might resonate with us particularly these days, as clouds have certainly gotten in our way, we also ought to look at both sides now with the right perspective. Those clouds, their message and their presence can help us get through this time with a sense of hope, optimism, and encouragement. Thank you for listening, and I wish one and all a Shabbat Shalom.